Welcome to Elevate and Lead. This is Mike Chandler, joined as always by Jennifer Bardot and Kelly Chandler. Today we're actually broadcasting from our remote studios for two reasons. One, our guest Jim is remote and in the lovely state of California, escaped the weather yesterday of St. Louis, which was a double doozy over the weekend. Had 7, 8, 9 inches of snow and rain, and then yesterday got hit with another 2 to 4 inches in the St. Louis area. So definitely crushed the infrastructure of MoDOT yesterday. So welcome to the show, Jennifer and Kelly. How was Kelly, I know how your Thanksgiving went. Jennifer, how did it go for you?
Yeah, I had a nice Thanksgiving. It was the first holiday without the boys, so it was a little bit different, but it was a lot of fun. I had activities every day, and obviously the sprinkling of the snow was a nice little touch. So lots of great food, lots of belly laughs. So it was a lot of fun.
Yes. Kelly, you going to tell the AI menu story?
Yeah, I was just talking about this a little bit before the show, but Mike sent out as a joke to our his side of the family, his mom's side, this crazy AI generated menu that had all of these complicated recipes. We really just wanted to get their gut reaction, like, "Hey, I can't do this," or "That sounds like a lot of work." And ironically, they all signed up for something new, and we had this incredible menu that we haven't ever had before. And every year before that, we typically have the same stuff. So it was actually really good, and got people, I guess, back in the kitchen getting creative, minus myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike's the cook in our family. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Jim, how was your Thanksgiving? We'll get your introduction here in just a few short minutes, but heard you watch some football.
Yeah, live. Thanks for asking. We were in Michigan in the Detroit area, and whenever we're there, we make it a tradition to go watch the Lions play. I think they've been playing on Thanksgiving since 1934. So got to go watch the Packers beat up on the Lions. The sound of 55,000 people simultaneously going, "Oh," is not to be missed on Thanksgiving.
Yes. So Kelly, what do you got on tap here for your thankful moments of the year?
This year was busy with kids and family, and I'm thankful that for the show. Actually, I'm actually thankful for the show because it's brought us a lot of new people into our sphere, of life and business, and it's been wonderful getting to know all of the guests. And on a personal note, I'm just happy everyone's healthy, and all the boys have girlfriends right now, so it's kind of fun seeing them blossom into those relationships. And as mother hen, I'm always making sure everybody's happy. I like to see them happy and fulfilled. So I'm thankful for those couple of things right now.
Very good.
Yeah.
Jen?
I have so much to be thankful for. This year has just been a whirlwind, and I'm grateful to have met you guys, to have the show, and Dave Green, and the studio owner, and just all the opportunities that keep arising. The 5 accredited courses, University of California, it's just mind-boggling, and just all of the great blessings that are still to come. And again, like seeing my boys flourish and through all these transitions, that brings me joy too. So I have lots to be grateful for. Yeah,
absolutely. Very good. Well, Kelly, let's roll into our newest sponsor ad, if you don't mind, and then we'll move into Ask and Elevate and get Jem introduced as well, and go from there.
Yes, absolutely. So we couldn't do the show without our sponsors, and we want to thank each and every one of them. And the newest one that has come on board is MPG, and that's Morgan Pinnacle Group. You didn't become a CEO just to be the chief everything officer. Morgan Pinnacle Group provides U.S.-based executive support for the work that eats your time and your energy. Operations, marketing, finance, legal, research, content creation. All of these tasks that once delegated allow you to work on your business instead of in the business. Start with 10 hours a week, scale up when you need it. Can't find the one size fits all hire? We can help you build a fractional team across specialties. And when you're ready for a long-term hire, we've got you covered. Schedule a quick chat at mpgstaff.com and buy back your time with Morgan Pinnacle Group. Funny enough, when I decided I was going to go back to work part-time, this is the organization that I used. So it's very personal and close to my heart. Mitch Morgan is wonderful. He is great at getting to know you as a person and finding something that really fits you and your goals. So thank you so much for your sponsorship of our show.
Yes. Thank you, Mitch. And, I think that's an interesting segue into the Ask and Elevate space a little bit, because the question actually comes from Chris out of Overland, Missouri. And Chris asked, what leadership skill do you think will matter the most in 2026? And how can someone start developing it now? And I guess I'll start off with one piece of that. And Jim, you're certainly welcome to jump into this little segment. I think the idea of fractional work and contractual work is becoming a reality for a lot of people. Whether you're in the position of no longer having a role, there's thousands of people being laid off by companies weekly, right? We just saw Verizon lay off 13,000 2 weeks ago. Bayer laid off quite a few folks globally. Google continues to lay off. All the big tech firms, CDW just laid off 3,000 people. And I think for 2026 and beyond, whether you're a leader or someone impacted, one of the biggest skills that you're going to have to pick up, learn is that adaptability to be fractional, to come in and contractually get applied to a company versus having full-time work. And I think the landscape is going to look significantly different. I think, I deal with a lot of automation and AI and the transformations that I lead, either for big companies at, CHS in the past, or here more SMB. Everybody's asking, how can I gain more efficiency, whether it's in my production line, whether it's at an HVAC shop, whether it's at a professional services firm. And unfortunately, this term called artificial intelligence is here. For those that say it's not impacting your job, you're either lying or you're not paying attention, but it is. And I think leaders need to learn how to, one, adapt to those efficiency changes, those reductions in staff, help people through that. But then most importantly, this idea even that Mitch deals with, he replaces people into the workforce in a fractional capacity. Fractional work, contractual work is going to be the way of the future. And it's showing out in every, new trend, everything that's being predicted out for 10 to 15 years. It really is the way of the future. And I think as a leader, you just got to figure out how to work without full-time staff, and how to help those people, re-engage into the workforce. Kelly, Jen, Jim, any thoughts on the question of number one skill to figure out and adapt to in 26?
Well, obviously, I'm going to say grit, right? I think everybody needs grit all the time, but no, for real, I think everybody needs to learn to be a little bit more flexible, because like you said, things are evolving so quickly. So we have to constantly have that mindset of evolving as a leader as well, and what that looks like. So I definitely see what you're saying, the fractional piece, but I also think that just keeping up with just how everything is changing with our economy, even grit community. I've had to evolve how I'm doing my membership fees, because it's been really difficult to pull people into my events, because people aren't leaving the office anymore because their work is taking the precedence, and there isn't a lot of extra time because they're getting more responsibilities. So I think just being flexible and constantly kind of doing that gut check of how to evolve is going to be really essential as a leader. Because if we don't evolve, then what happens is we die. So I just think as a leader, you're going to have to be really flexible in 2026. So.
Yeah, I would add to that, and thanks for asking, Mike. You touched on it. It's AI. The companies I lead are technology companies, and the maturation of AI over the last year, its capabilities now, and I don't have religion about it. I mean, use ChatGPT, use Gemini, use Claude.
Yep.
I mean, they're all on par. But I think that in many walks of life, there's an assumption that AI is only for the technology people, and you couldn't be more wrong. AI can accelerate you, can make you more productive in any aspect: contracting, customer service, of course, technology, sales, marketing. You need to learn how, and you need to intertwine AI into your daily routine. So that you can, because everyone else is. I mean, it's almost a zero-sum game. If you don't, you're going to be very, very far behind. So really embrace and polish your AI skills.
Yeah, I would agree.
Absolutely.
100%.
And in my new role, which I just started in November, I mean, it's different to apply it. I have been out of the workforce for a while. I mean, I've kind of done fractional stuff, but I'm really learning from someone in the onboarding process, and then using chat GPT is what I use to make the process better. How can this work better? How can this flow be improved? How can the client experience be elevated? There's just so many different angles you can take with a new role, and just being open-minded with, we're not going to continue to do things the way they've always been done, because you're like you said, you're going to be so far behind, and we want to elevate the experience for especially our clients. So I'm learning a lot, and relying on it for everything, in all aspects. Like you said, it doesn't just have to be the technical side. It can be shaping content in a specific voice, or there are so many different examples. I think my favorite thing, and this is a personal thing, I take a picture of the ingredients in the house and say, create me a recipe from these. I love doing stuff like that. It's so exciting. And that's something you can pass along to your kids, not just as it applies to work, but we've got to get those younger generations also in that mindset of using it to help aid their thought processes. So,
yep. I think Jem, you hit it on the head there, is that there isn't really a job that isn't affected by it. And I hear a lot of folks, I'm actually going through some due diligence of purchasing a small business, and I look at the HVAC industries as an example, or the mechanical industries, and these people I talk to, they're like, oh, we're not affected by it. I'm like, you are affected by it, because people are diagnosing problems with their HVAC, with their cars, with, they're asking very logical questions like, hey, this light went on in my car and we're taking pictures of it. What do I do about it? What could be wrong? And so in a lot of cases, that takes away the margin and the revenue opportunity for companies to come in and diagnose and do these pre-checks and all of that, because the customer is coming to you with probably a plausible reason as to what's wrong. They might have already ordered the part that they want to have put in or installed. And so it does affect everyone's role. And I think, Jem, your point is it really reminds me of the Industrial Revolution, when the people who refused to understand that machines were going to replace the assembly line, they went out of work. You can look it up. Millions of people lost jobs because of industrial automation. Those that figured out how to use those machines more effectively in their jobs to create product in the supply chain, the assembly line, they thrived. And I think it's the same exact kind of analogy here with where we are today. And it's unfortunately the industrial revolution of the mind versus the human power on the supply chain or the industrial line. So definitely a very interesting question and topic. Appreciate everyone's point of view on that. And again, if you have a Ask and Elevate question, you can direct that to us at our Gmail, which is elevateandleadinfo@gmail.com. Or you can find us on LinkedIn, which would be at Elevate and Lead at LouInfo. And you can send us a direct message and get us teed up with your question. So, Chris, thank you very much from Overland, and we appreciate the Q&A.
And I'm going to take a moment to thank another one of our sponsors and just share some information. This is Edward Jones, Bethany Shell. She is an Edward Jones financial advisor. When you're choosing a financial advisor, Bethany believes the first question is simple. Does your advisor take the time to really listen? Your goals, your family, your future, it should always be personalized, because financial planning isn't just about numbers. Life changes, and so does your financial situation. That's why Bethany partners with you every step of the way to help keep your strategy on track. And if you're brand new to investing, that's actually the best time to start. Bethany uses an established process to create a personalized strategy backed by advice, tools, and resources designed to help you reach your goals. You'll always have access to the information you need when you need it. Bethany says true wealth isn't about hitting a magic number. It's about having financial strategies that support a life you love. You can count on her to help you achieve what matters most, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. Contact Bethany today at 314-648-2020. This is a paid-for ad by Bethany Shell, Edward Jones, member SIPC. Okay, finally, we are at that point where we are going to introduce our guest, who is brought to us by Morgan Pinnacle Group. CEO doesn't stand for Chief Everything Officer. Visit mpgstaff.com today to find affordable executive support and learn how they can help you start working on your business instead of in your business. That's Morgan Pinnacle Group at mpgstaff.com. Jennifer, without further ado,
Woo, here we go.
Here we are.
Sponsors.
Yes.
All right. So as we've been hearing that voice, this is Jim. He is the CEO and founder of WarCloud. We initially met from the Titan 100 community, and I'm thrilled to have you as a guest on our show on Elevate and Lead. So can you tell everybody a little bit about who Jim is and what WarCloud is?
Sure. Thank you. First, let me say thank you for having me. It's great to meet you all. Of course, Jennifer and I have already met. Jim Roche, St. Louis area native, actually born and raised in East St. Louis, and left in 1987. I'm a tech entrepreneur and moved out to Silicon Valley, which back in the late 1980s was a little bit of the wild, wild west. And was on the West Coast for 30 years. Came back to the Midwest and then found my way back to St. Louis in 2020. Cheryl actually got a job at the St. Louis Zoo, completely unplanned. So that was a nice little way to come back. All family, grade school, high school friends are all still here. On the professional front, I'm a serial technology entrepreneur. I've had multiple successful exits in the space. Current cloud company is WarCloud. That's with 2 R's. Think Warranty Cloud. WarCloud uses AI to automate the processing of warranty claims for the automotive industry, which in last year in the U.S. was about a $28 billion industry. So really a significant footprint there. And as Jennifer mentioned, I'm also very active in mentoring and local leadership organizations. We met through Titan 100, which is an organization that has executives clustered by metropolitan areas around the country. One other thing I guess I just mentioned is when we moved here, we bought a old house in Lafayette Square, and we just finished restoring that. So built in 1895. So the old girl has now got her new face on, and I'm very happy to have that behind me.
And that's great. I always hear, on the house front, it's a super interesting endeavor. I'm sure they don't build the houses today like they used to. So you probably got a very structurally sound house and got to reface it. And any big war stories coming out of the remodeling activity there?
Mike, I have so many we'd use up more than the allotted time, but I'll give you it was built in 1895 by one of the beer executives, a German immigrant back then by the name of Ernst Link. And we really wanted to get the house back to what it originally was. It had gone through your typical, it changed hands, it became a boarding house. So it's really been taken back to its roots. But you talk about structurally, I mean, the walls, the exterior walls are 3 bricks thick.
Oh, wow.
The whole facade is limestone. So it is, it's just a magnificent piece of architecture. And we're very glad to just be part of it. It's almost every year, the facade of the house winds its way into some publication in St. Louis, whether it's, it's in the lobby of Square headquarters, it's in the architecture books. And usually on Halloween, when there's an article about the local haunted houses, that winds up there. So that's a story for another time.
Yes.
You guys ever seen that movie Money Pit? It was reminding me of talking about
totally. Tom Hanks goes through the floor. That's the
yes.
I'm Tom Hanks. If I had a nickel for every time somebody referenced Money Pit as it relates to that house, I'd have about $5. So
that's amazing. Well, I remember when you first told me about WarCloud and what it was, and I was touched because my mom's been a top F&I producer in the car industry forever. And I remember visiting her, and there was mounds of paper. So the efficiency of what you've been able to deliver is just phenomenal. So as a leader, what are some of those, tips and tricks that you've learned to grow so quickly?
Well, I mean, you pick up many of them along the way. Everybody develops their own personal leadership philosophy. One management principle of mine that I teach to the company and in my mentoring is lead from the front. And what I mean by that is you need to be out with your customers, with your partners, with your employees. There's no substitute for being on the front lines and interacting with customers. My entrepreneurial journey is shaped significantly by that. I am not an original thinker. How I come up with my ideas to start companies is I simply go out and I ask customers. I go to the marketplace and ask them, tell me about your problems. And when they trust you, they'll tell you. And if you can conceive of a way to solve those problems and no one else is already doing it, you've got a really good start to a new company. And that was, as Jennifer and I have spoken before, this is how the idea for War Cloud originally came out. I worked in the automotive industry. I noticed these offices with these stacks of papers up to the ceiling.
Yeah.
And that always said to me inefficiency, something that could use technology. But the real epiphany came when I was talking to a very smart automotive dealer operator. And I was talking about the stacks of paper. And he said, that's not a stack of paper. That's a stack of uncashed checks. And that was the aha moment. That is idle money that is sitting on someone's desk. And I came to find out that if it aged too long, that check could never be cashed. It became stale. So a very significant problem in the automotive industry. Warranty has been processed the same way for 80 years. So it is a problem that's ripe for a solution. And so we spent way more time than we thought we would standing up our technology solution, and came to market in 2021, not really knowing if anyone would be interested. And now we're at almost 1,000 dealers and growing like crazy. So kind of seems like one of those right idea, right time things that happened.
That's huge.
And are a lot of those warranties the post-warranty models that dealers sell to extend the warranty, or are they tied to the core manufacturer's warranty?
That's an astute question, Mike. Yeah, it's the core warranty. When any of us buy a new car, it comes with a factory warranty. Depending on the car you buy, it could be 3, 4, 5 years. If something goes wrong on the vehicle, you just take it to a dealer and they fix it and you don't pay for anything. But it's not free. That's kind of the consumer misconception. It's analogous to the way healthcare claims processing used to work. So if I could use that for the audience for a second, you got injured, you went to a hospital, and a bunch of doctors and nurses repaired you. But then what they did is they took all that paperwork as describing what they did to you, and they dumped it on the desk of a third party who never laid eyes on you. But it was that third party's job to translate all that information into phrases and codes and things that they could then send to the health insurance company, and they reimburse the hospital. Well, just take out the word patient and put in the word vehicle.
Yep.
And that is a $28 billion a year industry today in the United States, non-inclusive of extended warranty.
Very
Does
interesting.
that transcend into the boating industry as well? Like, have you tapped into the other industries, or you just focus on automotive?
There's another astute question. You guys have done this before. We're focused in automotive today, Jennifer. But if you look at our projections of our total addressable market, warranty works pretty much the same way in all aspects of transportation. So heavy trucking, power sports, including boating, possibly even aviation, at least light aviation. So we think that there's a lot of long ball for us. But, I remind my team constantly, listen, there is plenty of wood to chop in automotive. So we're not going to chop wood in trucks or in boating until we've cut down most of the forest in automotive.
That makes sense. Well, we are going to actually take a short break and come right back with more of interview time with Jem, and we will be back after these short commercial breaks.
And Mike Chandler. And we're going to jump back into the conversation with Jim Roche here in a moment. First, we want to thank another one of our wonderful sponsors, and that is Merrimack Pools and Outdoors. St. Louis, want a backyard paradise next summer? Talk to Merrimack Pools and Outdoors now. Merrimack Pools and Outdoors is a family-owned St. Louis business helping families make the most of their backyard. From pools and patios to outdoor kitchens, fire features, and even sport courts, they'll design and build a perfect retreat for relaxing, entertaining, and making memories. With free on-site consultations, professional design, and over 25 years of experience, Merrimack Pools and Outdoors will bring your vision to life. Start your backyard transformation today at splashstl.com. Sounds good amongst all the snow, right?
Well, yeah, we need to ask Brad and team if they can turn the pool into a skating rink. I think that would be the first
That would be cool.
question. Yeah.
Multitask.
Sport court.
I'll take the hot tub.
Yeah,
Yeah. You'll skip that.
exactly. Right to the hot tub. It's a good point,
Right.
then. Well, excellent. So, Jim, let's come back to our discussion about War Cloud. And, just recently here, it was named one of the 5,000 fastest growing companies for 2025. Is that accurate?
That's right. Inc. magazine named War Cloud number 182 out of the
Nice.
Inc. 5,000 and number one fastest growing company in Missouri.
Wow. Congrats. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
That
you.
is fantastic. And so what's fueled that growth? I mean, you talked a little bit about this idea of it being an untapped problem, but tell us a little bit more about what's fueled the growth for you guys.
Yeah, thank you. It's I think it's three things primarily. First of all, and this is very obvious, you have to really provide value. You have to solve a real problem, which we know that we are. The second is that War Cloud is what they refer to as a category creator. We're the first to use technology to solve the problem that we're solving in the world. So, being first has its challenges, but you really can make a lot of strides when you're solving a real problem and you're the first on the scene. And the third, I think, is interesting St. Louis connection. We wanted to promote the brand and get the word out there. So we hired a very favorite person in St. Louis, Super Bowl and Hall of Famer Kurt Warner is our celebrity spokesperson. Kurt works with us to talk to dealers and talk to the marketplace to get the word out. He attends events with us and things like that. And so those three things have really helped accelerate, the awareness and the adoption of War Cloud.
Very cool. We all love Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
I mean, love it. Love that you have him on your team helping promote.
One
That's
of those,
wonderful.
One of those few people where the public persona and the private persona are the same.
Yeah.
Just a very high quality human being, he and his entire family. So we're very, very honored and privileged to be working with him.
That's fantastic. And do you know the gentleman over at Karma? They take care of fleet management, St. Louis-based startup that's backed.
Suleiman
Suleiman
Lascarli.
Yeah.
They just started a company called Karma, and they deal with fleet maintenance and that kind of a thing. So it might be a good introduction, just because
I don't think I know him, but I
same
would like
lane.
to.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. We'll connect you after the show and get you connected there. There might be some opportunities for intersections and the things that they're doing. So
I just emailed him yesterday. So how funny is that?
Yeah.
He sent me a list of some of the introductions he was looking for. I was like, oh, I can open those doors. Hopefully.
Sure.
So,
Yep, absolutely.
Would love to meet him.
absolutely. So, Jim, talk to us about the next 5 years in terms of your business. And you obviously talked about the fact that artificial intelligence and things like that are putting pressure on really every sector, every job. Obviously, you're already using AI to help fuel some of this warranty work. What are the big trends and the big outcomes for the warranty space and War Cloud?
Well, I think there are several swim lanes there. One, today we have about 1,000 dealers in the United States, but there are over 17,000 franchise auto dealers in the U.S. So we want to continue to drive adoption deeper into the marketplace. We're really just scratching the surface. AI automates a portion of our business today, but there's the deeper aspects of AI, machine learning, that are really more complex that we're just scratching the surface on. So we'll continue to invest more in 2026 and beyond in driving more automation by more sophisticated AI into the business. And then beyond that as well, we will look to diversify in addition to our core into areas like extended warranty. That's an easy adjacency for the business. And as we discussed at the break, into other areas of transportation. Warranty works very similar across heavy trucking, power sports. So as we grow and we penetrate more and more on automotive, I think moving beyond core automotive into other adjacencies. I don't think outside of transportation, that seems like a bridge too far. But certainly moving to other dimensions of transportation is an easy one over the next 5 years. Beyond that, hard to see crystal ball. As I mentioned, we're a category creator, so there's no playbook, there's no manual to read in terms of what should be next steps for us. So to some degree, we're just enjoying the ride and taking it as we go.
Absolutely.
I bet the dealerships that have acquired, your services are really enjoying them, because it would have to like heighten the security. Because I'm thinking from the banking industry, when I worked in the banking industry, you could never have any files out when you left. Everything had to be in a secured file. So, I mean, you're probably really enhancing their efficiencies and just streamlining everything. And these finance producers are probably even able to make more money with having your services.
So we improve the dealer's operations along several dimensions, Jennifer. One, we find more warranty for them to charge back to the OEM. So on average, in year one, about 13% more revenue. We reduce the cost of claims processing by over 50%. Because we're using technology and not people who are somewhat inefficient and expensive. We get the claims processed within 24 hours, so we improve cash flow. And all the metrics that the OEMs track in terms of accuracy and timeliness of submission, we improve all of those. So really, no matter what your need is, we have a pretty good, solid value proposition for our car dealer customers.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
So Jim, maybe switching gears just a little bit. I'm sure not all paths have been rosy in your journey as a business and tech innovator to some degree have been a rosy path and an easy path. What kind of big challenges have you overcome in the past 10, 15, 20 years? What's been the biggest barrier and your biggest achievement to overcome something that really challenged you at the end of the day?
Thanks, Mike. My hair didn't get to be this color by just having one rosy experience after another. I think the one in the last, let's call it almost 20 years, was the 2008 recession, because that hit us all very hard, but it hit automotive particularly hard. And I had another company at that time, which was named AutoPoint, still around. That was another successful exit eventually. But I really learned a lot of things in that, in terms of a lot of my advisors were saying we really need to pare back, we need to hunker down and ride the storm out. And I concluded that if our value proposition was really what we thought that it was, that we needed to go the other way. We needed to accelerate and invest in the company, and it turned out to be the correct call, because the problem we were solving with AutoPoint was counter-cyclical. When things were great, people didn't tend to worry about it too much because, everything was great. But when things got tough, they really looked for efficiencies in their marketing, and that was the problem that we were solving. So that was the right call, and AutoPoint wound up being acquired by another company in 2010. So kind of a happy ending for everyone. But out of those experiences, I did develop some leadership principles that I continue to teach today. I'll share just a couple quick ones for you. And I always do them in sound bites because they're so easy to remember. One that I teach is everyone should remember that nobody buys a drill, everybody buys a hole in a wall. And what I mean by that is, I know that's a good one, is that we get enamored of the hardware of the technology, but we got to stay focused on the fact that everybody just wants their problem solved. And if you can solve a problem, if you can make people's lives easier, that's a great step on the path to success. Another one that I practice and teach everyone in professional and personal lives is you've always got to ask yourself the simple question: would you rather be right or successful? And I wholeheartedly recommend choosing successful. And I'm constantly amazed at the people who choose right.
Yeah.
Look, if you can get both, right, pick both. But if you have
Sure.
to pick one or the other, I find that choosing successful is a better way to go. And then the last one, I think this was it Calvin Coolidge maybe? That there's a long saying that he had, but the summary of it is and this really is the entrepreneur's creed, is remember that persistence alone is omnipotent. Um, it is amazing how many problems, how many difficult situations you can get through by just being persistent. Yes, be adaptable. Yes, always be looking at new factors, but persistence. So many people, personal opinion, don't succeed because they gave up too soon. They didn't know what was lying around right around the corner. What I've learned in my entrepreneurial journey over the last little while is that nothing is more important than persistence.
I
Yes.
love that. That was literally my grit tip of the week. Consistency. You have to have that. You can't give up. You have to stay focused. But you alluded to your mentorship earlier in the conversation before break, and I know you were awarded Mentor of the Year by SLU. Who's been influential in regards to your mentorship journey?
Well, thank you for mentioning it. That was quite an honor. That's at the Chaffetz Center for Entrepreneurship at St. Louis University. It was the first year they've ever created that award. And, that's one of those happy situations in life where you get more than you give. Being amongst the student entrepreneurs, the energy, the ideas, the learnings that they have, it is just a joy to do that. And I hope to continue doing it for a long time going forward. I have a lot of people, Jennifer, in my life who have been inspirations, but I've had two mentors, a gentleman who managed me in my first, I guess you'd call it, real job, and the gentleman who was the chairman of one of my companies, AutoPoint. And they were just brilliant business people, but perhaps more importantly, just very high quality human beings, who I have a saying that, when times are good, they're good, but when times are not good, they're great. And they both really exemplified that and helped shape some of the things that I've talked with you about today.
It's really cool. And I love the fact that as busy you are, how successful you are, you still take time for us today, and you still take time for those to mentor. That's incredible.
Oh, well, thank you. This has been a lot of fun. And as I said, I love getting out and talking about my business, of course, but just meeting all of you, learning about your businesses and supporting what we're doing in the community.
Wonderful. Well, huge thank you to Jim Roche for joining us today with WarCloud, founder, CEO, incredibly talented leader in our community. Next week, we actually have one of our sponsors on December 8th. We have Kathy Kalo Peterson. So she not only is she a grit author and grit member, but she's also been one of our State Farm sponsors for our Elevate and Lead show. So you are listening to Elevate and Lead on the Lou Information Station, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you for joining us.